We're back for another one. Yeah, baby.
Get it.
Man, it's so nice. So goddamn motherfucking nice to listen to all these people in the national media start to come around to that strange high that is SGA. I'm hearing it more and more, bro, but they say he is him. You think he's him?
Bro, they are so far up Shai's ass right now and just burying their faces in it, bro. I don't even know what to say except the real true love of what we've been talking about Shai for the last couple of years is starting to be seen all around the NBA. Now, we did go back and we talked about what if Shai wanted out of Oklahoma City, where would we be? And we talked about that for a few episodes. We're not going to be shameful about that because that's just part of how the stuff goes. But I think it was very well known after we started talking about it. Shai came out and knew exactly what was going on. He knew exactly how this team's going, and he has complete dedication to stay here. And I truly believe what he is saying. And now knowing that and understanding that, you're getting guys on the podcast and all over ESPN, they're all coming out and saying the same thing.
Same thing.
Shai is untradeable. You cannot trade Shai. You can't, because you can't recoup enough value for him. And that's the truth right there, because Shai's on a whole new level. We're all seeing it. We're all experiencing. We're all getting those dirty feelings when he gets the ball and he's in isolation mode. It's over. We all know. What Shai's doing is spectacular this year. 32.3 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, and 5.9 assists. Across the board, he is one of two guards in the NBA that is truly making a stand, knowing that he is in the conversation of MVP, at least for the first 1/8 of the season at this point.
Bro, I just want to go ahead and say, first of all, Shai, his play is incredible, okay? But his willingness to tolerate the growth of everybody on their own timeline is something that's as special as the level of play he is at. Because so often when players exceed, they get too good too fast, they start becoming impatient. And then Absolutely. It causes franchises to, like, in fact, I'm talking to Dave. I mean, I'm talking to all these people like Chris and everybody. They know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it causes you to rush your timeline. But having Shai perfectly patient while this is happening is as crucial as Shai's overall ceiling and the level of play he puts up. But I'm thinking, like, this idea that Shai could be an MVP. First of all, we know MVPs have to go through a process. You don't automatically show up one year and make it to MVP, right? You got to insert your name in the discussion. You have to get a lot of support from the media, from the fans. You have to be multiple-time All-Star. Like, how many times did Kobe win the MVP, bro? Once. Which is pretty fucking unbelievable. But it's the reality. Okay? So my point is this. For Shai to win an MVP, I mean, is it more important to lead the West or lead a bad team to exceed expectations?
I want to see
it
what
with
Shai
a
can do.
5 seed because it shocks so many people. Could they give him the MVP winning 45 games?
Yes.
Yeah?
The 5 seed, 4 seed, I think the NBA would bow to that, because if you take a team that, you know, he didn't play much last year and then take them from that point without the best player in the draft and taking him to, you know, a top 5 seed in the West, he's going to be the MVP. That's what it takes to be the MVP nowadays, is you have to be able to be a top 5 team. And yes, he'll be up against Joka. Yes, he'll be up against this player and that player and this player. But if he's done what we're talking about and pulls off a 45, you know, win season, then I mean,
so here's what I want to say. Here's what I want to say. Why are we still afraid? Why are we still afraid to say that this team is really good? You look at, like, first of all, we know they have the toughest schedule in the NBA. But if you look at the teams that we've been playing, like we know the schedule is going to get a little softer. We know we're going to have a chance to rack up some wins. I don't think 500 basketball is unreasonable when we beat, but we lost to the Bucks. We dominated the Celtics for 3 quarters. We go on and we're playing at a really high clip. Like, obviously, if Shai goes down, like, we're reevaluating. But I also believe in the team's ability to have the next man step up. So I don't think we automatically just lose.
In order for us to do this, though, man, we need somebody else in our lineup to step up. Where is that step up going to happen from?
J-Dub. It has to be J-Dub. And here's the key with
I was going to say J-Dub and Giddey. Those are the two guys that need to click together.
I'll agree with that. I think Giddey is because of how much attention he garnered in the offseason, because of the level he played last year, people know his name. And that's much more difficult being successful in that environment. He will make it, okay? But my theory is Shai and Giddey and Dort, if they can keep this team afloat, why J-Dub really comes along. And that speed bump he hit in the beginning is tougher than any speed bump I've ever hit in my life. I've never broken an orbital bone or anything close in my face. And then to be out there playing with it, and he's taking some serious hits against it. So I can't even imagine how much pain he is on, in a certain points. My question is, when does a rookie with his skill set break through? I think, to me, it's obvious. Right after the All-Star break. Can we hang on until after the All-Star break? Because if we can, his level of play will be 20 points, 8 assists, and it will be regular. And people will be like, where did he come from? Well, he was there the whole time. And people were like, well, he could be, comparable to Shai's rookie year, which Shai was a very quiet, cerebral player who did the right thing at the right time. No, this guy has a much higher ceiling than Shai's rookie ceiling because of how much more developed he was when he hit the league. His minimum is already what Shai's peak as a rookie was. The next phase is him asserting himself as potential all-star in year 2, is my opinion about J-Dub. So that's what he needs to get going. But it's okay. We can be patient if we can be patient, right?
I think you're probably pretty close to being right on about the assessment in J-Dub in the second half of the season. I want to say this, in looking at these guys and what we have on this team, the lineup that I'm most interested in is J-Dub, Tre Mann, Josh Giddey in that fourth quarter, that 5 to 7 minutes in that fourth quarter. I need to see these guys put up some points. If we can get these points going up. You literally just
put your finger on the pulse of everything. Like, if you're looking in the locker room with the coaches' meetings and stuff, they're talking about how do we get off to a better start? How do we make sure the third quarter is going good? But in the end, that fourth quarter is the key.
It is.
You said the 5 minutes,
everything.
I think. Yeah. Like, so,
well, and
tell me how, if you were in that locker room or the coaches' meetings, what you would think. Like, tell me what your opinion is.
Well, first of all, if let's just step one back. If I'm coaching against Coach D right now, right? I'm knowing that Shai is maxed out at 35 minutes, maybe 37, 38 if he's having an outstanding game, okay? I know that there's going to be 5 to 7 minutes in that fourth quarter that he's not going to play. So I know that in that third quarter, when Shai's going off, I'm okay with him going off. I'm resting some of my guys because in that fourth quarter, I'm going to dominate them so bad, it's going to take them a while to catch back up.
How many points do you think you can make up in that time span? If you're a coach, what would you say?
I think in that time span, you can probably go plus 11, plus 14.
I was thinking plus 12. Plus 12,
right around that area.
We're right in exactly, and that's reasonable.
And that's the problem. Yeah, and that's why we're looking at, like, there has to be a lineup, and even if we can keep that to only plus 6, our defense holds down, and we hit the easy shots, we hit the layups because we're driving to the hole strong. That's still enough where when Shai comes back in the game, they can't do anything. And we've seen that a few times this year where they've stepped up to be able to do that. But that's why we're seeing so many different lineups right now. We're trying to figure out which lineup works best. And that's why I love Coach D and understanding the personalities. I go back to, and I think about the Thunder a lot with my daughter. She started crew rowing. And, one of the things he talked about crew was they had this boat one time that was in the Olympics that had all Olympic single rower record holders. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like favored by a ton to win all the Olympic events they were in. They did not place in one of them. And they asked, why in the world would this happen? It's because just because you take the greatest of all players and you put them on a team doesn't mean that they have, cohesiveness and they have, everything else is together. You have to have a team that works well together and as a team. So that's why you see Coach D subbing these guys in and running them out. And you look at the score chart and say, why did Poku only get 12 minutes? And why did this player not even play? And what's going on here? It's because he is looking at so many different lineups that he's trying to figure it out and get it right. And that's what's happening with Coach D. That's why we're seeing Shai go out there and he has, subbing in here, subbing in here, subbing in here. And all of a sudden it's like, boom, the matchup that he likes clicks in that third quarter, right? With all the players. And he's like, these are the guys that are going to be out there at the end of the fourth quarter. Then he subs them out because in that fourth quarter, he wants them all together. I like it, man. It's the way to be. It's the way to understand. And that means right now that Josh Giddey isn't playing as much in that fourth quarter as I would like to see him play, but he's also just getting back from injury. And people want to say whatever they want to say about sprained ankles. They do make an impact, especially when you're landing on layups, taking shots. It's going to hurt, and it's messing with your head. That's what we're seeing with Josh Giddey. He tweaked his ankle a little bit. It's hurting still, and it's just going to take time until he's getting back to normal. And I get it. People would be like, oh, well, at this point, it shouldn't be hurting that bad. No, you're right. But guess what? It's the mental thing. My ankle still hurts a little bit. These guys are not 30-year-old men that have been out there playing hoops and that understand that there's a pain threshold and all that stuff. These are 20-year-old guys that are learning how to be men, how to play through, small injuries, how to, voice up when you have a more serious injury that you're concerned about that maybe nobody knows about. That's what's happening right now. And I look at it and I have a deep passion and love for this team. And it's crazy. I want to see these guys successful. So when I'm looking around and I'm saying, people are like, oh, Josh Giddey didn't have a good game. And I look at his minutes and say he had played 20 minutes. He had 11 points. He had 2 assists. He had 6 rebounds. Those are good numbers for 20 minutes, guys. Those are strong quality minutes, especially the position that he's being forced to play that he's never played before in his life. Absolutely. And I love it, man. I love what's happening. I love the fact that we had John on the show yesterday.
That was
and
fun, man.
We talked about Josh Giddey and Larry Bird and the comparisons that we could possibly see of this happening. And dude, this is for real. What we're seeing with Josh Giddey and the point forward idea is special because it doesn't matter. We get that ball out of imbalance quickly. It doesn't matter if it goes to Josh. It doesn't matter if it goes to Shai. It doesn't matter if it goes to Dort. That ball is going up the court within a matter of seconds, milliseconds of going out of that net or in that net or out of that rim. These guys are at a high level right now. And that's when we say, we hear people talk about trades. We're like, oh, we'd be great if we have this player. We'd be great if we have this player. Listen, it's taken Isaiah Joe a long time to understand exactly how we play. Our offense, our schemes, our defense, our fast breaks. This is not stuff that if you haven't been here for a couple years that you're comfortable with, that you understand. It takes a while to acclimate. So I don't see the Thunder going out and making trades and getting these type of players because I think we stay pat with this team as is because we're not going to add somebody that doesn't know our offense, that doesn't know our defense, that doesn't know this. Yes, we could add a player that is really good at fast breaks or that is really good at isolation threes or whatever you want to say. We could add a player like that, but this team, the way it is standing pat, and I love it because, man, it's a high level.
Let me say this, and I want to get carried away, so I don't care if anybody gives a fuck, right? But Shai is the MVP, and this is his year to win it. He's going to have to log enough games, okay? But if he's going to win it in future years, the only way he's going to win it is if he becomes either so statistically like a marvel like Jokic did or Steve Nash did, or he gets it as a reward for winning a championship. I think there's a lot of people who are content to say SGA has thrown his name into the ring. And that's enough. If his name's in the ring for MVP, that's enough. But, KD, he got one. Russ, he got one. Like, this might be Shai's best chance. And I would say, I honestly believe that this year, if we have a massive difference from the projected record to our actual record, and if we can avoid the play-in game, because even now people are like, oh yes, they might be around 500, but they might make it to the playoffs, but they're going to be play-in and they're going to suck. Like so there's still a long way to go. If we can exceed that expectations, then there's going to be a lot of people who are like, oh, we need to be content. But my argument would be this: Giannis has a couple, Jokic has a couple, LeBron's got his, Curry's got his. Like these people, they're all competing against themselves. They're not competing against the other players. They need to have a statistically better season than their other MVP seasons to garner all those votes from the media. So Shai coming in and just being like, boom, this is my arrival, and here we go, is the key. Now, with all of that said, right, buckle up, because it's not that Shai is so much better this year that why this is happening. It's the other guys. Shai was putting up big numbers last year after the All-Star break, and we were losing, and we were out of the hunt, and it didn't matter. Those games were treated like they didn't matter, and you know what? Frankly, they didn't. But this year, the other guys are good enough that they're giving Shai the platform. I mean, yeah, he's playing at a high level, and he's earning everything. But if it wasn't for the other guys catching up, then these games wouldn't matter, right? There was a game the other day by somebody who put up 51 points in a loss, and nobody talked about it. And I can't even remember his name who put it up, right? Like, losing with massive scoring outputs are seen.
It was Steph.
It was Steph. All right, there you go. And so, and we have to continue to evaluate that, right? Like the attention that Shai is getting is a correlation to the team's record, right? Which is a correlation to the improvement of the other guys, right? Which, because of our youth, we have to assume that growth will continue as the season goes on. This team has not plateaued. And because of that, I feel like we could get on a run and do that thing that everybody's saying we can't, which is that top 4 in the West. And if that happens, crown him. Crown him, motherfucking MVP, just like Aaron Judge, baby. Just like you got two MVPs hanging there, bro. I see 2 MVPs hanging from behind you.
But I gotta say this, man. I gotta say this. Think about it like this, man. Is Ja had a crazy season last year, right? And yet he still didn't make the MVP. In order for Shai to do this, he has to stay healthy for at least 80 or 75 games.
Yes, and also you have part of it is the type of game he plays. His high efficient 50, 40, 90, that's the holy grail. That's the triple crown. So if you can put that together, right, and exceed expectations, and people are saying, oh, we all worship the god of efficiency, and this guy was the king of efficiency, and the team won as a result of that. If we don't give him our votes, then we have a double standard. And that's how the national media will hold themselves accountable.
You're right, man. And
wishful thinking, right?
It's wishful thinking, but we've also seen Derrick Rose do this before. You know, his MVP that he won was really pretty much out of nowhere. He was 24 years old or 22 or whatever it was.
And why did he win it? He won it because... yeah, he put up great numbers, right? MVP level numbers, but he won it because there's a huge discrepancy with how many
LeBron's
games
off this year. Steph's off this year.
Right.
You know, like all the players that are top right now are having an off year. You know, yes, Steph's having, some great, statistical stats, but it's not a season that he's going to have better than any other season that he's had. But if you're looking at guys that are top raisers, if there was a season that I would feel like this would be the season that a young player won it, this could be the season. Because when you're talking about Ja, you're talking about Shai, you're talking about
Luka, Zion.
I mean, Zion, he has to stay healthy, and I'm not seeing that from Zion. So pull out Zion out of there, but put Luka there. This is the year that a young player is going to steal it. And that's what I love about it, is because...
I guess you could throw him in there.
Yeah, you could throw him in there from the East.
Trae Young. I'm sorry.
Trae Young, Trae Young. You could throw him in there from the East, but I look at there's a top tier of guards. There's three guards in the West that if it's a young player going to win, it's Shai, Ja, or Luka, and that's what I like is because that's what the chances that I want to see because I think we could be better than Dallas.
Yeah,
I think we can. Now, if Memphis has an off year and they get under 45 wins, we could be better than Memphis this year. And that's
so
what
let's
I'm
knock out
starting
the
to look
standings,
at.
bro. It's too early to get carried away, but
Yeah, we're only through what 1/7, 1/6 of the season right now. So
it's ridiculous. I mean, we're 7-8, so we're at the 11th seed. So we're on the outside looking in, but at 9-6, that skips you all the way up to the 5 seed. So we're 2 wins out from being out of the play, being into the playoffs, skipping the play-in. We're talking about Dallas at 8-6, and like I said, we're 7-8. And you have the Grizzlies at 9-6. So this is not unreasonable. And I would say on top of that, bro, when we were looking at this schedule, and I always mention this, we have the toughest projected schedule in the NBA, but we looked at the beginning of the schedule as being the toughest spot. And I thought we could do this off. And I'll say this completely honestly, wishful thinking, right? I was like, if we can get through the first 10 games around 500 and keep that, then when some of these soft spots hit, we can exceed 500. You get you get above 500. Well, 42 wins is 500. No, 41 wins is 500. So
exactly,
all this conversation about how many wins can we win or whatever, I'm just like, I always look at 500 as being enough. I mean, but say you push it.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. 35 wins. It's still a fucking huge win.
You're not going to get MVP with 35.
No, you're not going to get MVP, but your name's going to be in the
conversation.
Conversation, and then on top of that, you're going to have Chet next season. So of course, you're going to be a much better team.
Tell me when
you get more respect.
You think that he becomes the MVP favorite? Okay, if the Thunder have 40 wins,
if he's not in the play-in, that's that 6th seed, right?
The Thunder win 45 wins. Thunder win 50 wins. Thunder win 55 wins.
Wait, time out here. What do you say?
At what point do you think he becomes the favorite? Is it like if they win 50 games?
Listen, it's 500. It's 500,
and he becomes the favorite.
I think if the Thunder stay at 500, around the All-Star break, okay, I think he's going to start becoming the whispered favorite of the MVP, and the reason is because if he's playing at that level, the Thunder are at 500, right, and they're saying, listen, they're going to have all these other guys, they're going to get this back, they can get this back, and they're at 500. There's no doubt in my mind that they could be looking at the Thunder and saying the Thunder could win 45 games.
So let me ask you this question.
47 games.
Why are we afraid to think that this team is better than 500 at the All-Star break game? Because I'm afraid of it thinking it too. Is it because we've been hurt before and we started out seasons strong?
No, it's because it's the way that we take care of players.
Okay.
Right? The way that we make sure that these players are healthy and staying healthy. Like, I've seen we've taken players that aren't healthy and we've given them extra day rest, just to make sure. Like, I love doing this, but when that happens, there's no telling how many times we're going to see Shai go down, or how many times we'll see Dort go down, or how many times we'll see another big time player. Like we lost Poku for a couple games, and our defense really struggled. Right?
Yeah.
We get Poku, and we go back, and we go 2-3 over the next 3 games. So we see this thing that's happening, and it's like these players really do make an impact in these positions. So I don't know, man. I look at it like this is exactly the moment that we needed to see if this team can get to. Because when we sat down at the beginning of the season, I said to you, if we're not at least 500 with 15, around 500 with 15 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're in trouble. We're in trouble. Because if we can't be in that conversation there, then I'm looking at it like, fuck. Because look at the teams like the Lakers and these other guys that are falling way behind. Like, you get 4 games behind the Thunder, you're in trouble. Because, I mean, the Thunder's at that threshold. And it's as simple as that right now. And do I see that we're going to have 4 or 5 soft spots where we have 3 to 4 games in a row that are all winnable games? Yeah. And if we're playing at a high level and we win those 4 games, then we're going to consistently teeter around that 500, if not 3 to 4 games above 500 constantly. So yeah, this is, I mean, when you say, is this the team that can make it to that 45 win mark? I mean, listen, Shai playing like this, it's no telling what can happen. Like 50 wins could happen, guys, because
I'm starting to feel those vibes that, you know, we talked about this preseason, and then when Chet went down, we kind of said, okay, we need to reassess, and we took our time, lowered expectations, but I felt like the team was
lowered a lot though. Like,
no,
let's be honest.
We just took a deep breath. We said it's not fair for us to push that narrative, right? We needed to become like more responsive. Like, we felt like with Chet we could make that leap, but we also said without him we needed just to relax, right, and let it come. Let the team kind of make a statement about what they were capable of on their own.
Like, who else is going to step up?
Right, and it took a bit. Like, and you could see the vulnerabilities, and you could see that if Shai was really critical, if that was the type of person he was, this could be a very difficult time. But I think for me, the moment that I decided that I needed to reassess this entire season, right, was this. When Shai walked to the bench and he said, one stop, one stop, one stop, one stop. And he wasn't even giving people high fives.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like he was trying to
hyper-focused.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to shade people. He was just like, that's it, guys.
Yeah.
That was a response to, I think, him feeling like they celebrated and they let down their guard against the Bucks. He celebrated a shot and he didn't get to celebrate a victory. And so that level of maturation, oh yeah, that's a hard one. And it went from being like a small thing to, I feel like it's almost like any great athlete has to have those experiences, and he will never celebrate a game-winning shot as a game-winning shot unless he won the game. There's no game-winning celebration for time left on the clock. He celebrates game wins when the game is won. That's what I saw from him. And then I looked at it and I say, okay, that's something that is a bit new, not just for him, but for me in watching sports. And I'm like, okay, this guy has laser beam focused on winning. And I'm like, we're convinced that, like, oh, let's keep watching that. Like 500. 500 is that, like, that's that moment. If we're above it, we're doing good. And if we're below it, we're doing bad. But in Shai's head, Shai wants to win every game. Shai wanted to beat the Boston Celtics in
it's that
the
fire,
Garden.
man.
It's the fire. He feeds off of it. But then here's the thing. We're used to seeing it like with Russ or with KD in different ways. Like, Shai understands how to control his focus, right? And in doing that, he controls everybody around him in a leadership way. I think of it like we were watching the Knicks version, and they were like sitting there with Julius Randle, and he had somebody doing meditation with him. And they're like talking to him and leading him through guided meditation. I thought, that's really cute. You know, it's something in New York they'll embrace until the Knicks are below 500, and then they'll start attacking. Well, maybe if you would meditate less and play basketball more, and they'll start doing things like that because that's the Knicks media for you, right?
Oh, yeah.
Here's what I noticed with Shai. Shai was doing his own whispering.
Yep.
He was walking to the bench. He was telling himself what he needed to hear. He was perfectly focused. And then everybody said, oh shit, it's like that? Like, motherfucker, it's like that. One stop.
And seeing that next level, that laser, like you called it, laser focus, to me, it's exactly what we need to see. You know, our coach, our old coach, he used to have this phrase, rev up and step up, right? Recognize that you made a mistake and you got to rev up that engine and step up. Now, as I got older, I recognize that I could rev up that engine at any moment. It didn't need me to find a mistake to rev up that engine. And a lot of people call it that next gear, getting to that next gear. What we saw with Shai with that next gear was truly impactful because you know, like when someone's been heartbroken by a lady, you know, like they fall in love again and they're dating them. They're like, oh, I don't want to commit yet. We're just friends. We're just friends. We're not committing to anything. We're not committing to anything.
Man, they're afraid of getting hurt.
Right. And with Shai the other night, I felt like that. I felt like he was just talking to, you know, a buddy of his about this girl he liked, you know, like, hey guys, one more stop. Like, this is it. This is the 1 point that we get, you know, like once you've been heartbroken, man, you cover your six. You cover your six no matter what. And that's what we're seeing with Shai is he was heartbroken from that shot in Milwaukee. It broke his spirit, man. And I get it. Like, there's a moment in every player's life where this happens. And who you become afterwards is a player that you're going to be remembered by. And we watched this with Shai where, like, after that, man, he stepped up his game to a fucking whole new level. I think he's had one 20-point game in between all of these 37s and 35s and 42s and all these massive fucking games. And it's like Shai figured it out. Now, what we saw with Shai and some of the other things that we watched last year when Shai was dominating and people were saying it's not how many it's not when Shai wins the championships, how many championship Shai is going to win. Those are the moments that we started recognize that Shai understood that next level, how to get to that next part, how to conquer that next part in the game. And now we're seeing it at 24 years old, you know, and when he's up for contract, he'll be around that 28, 29-year-old stage. He's 24 years old and he's already learned how to take it up that stage that very few, very elite players only know how to do it. And we're talking like players like Dwayne Wade and Kobe Bryant and LeBron James and, you know, Steph Curry, all these guys in the past that we've watched that, you know, they dominate games and they get to this point and they just, it's over. And you see these guys that are like semi-superstars. They have breakout games. They have 40 or 50 points in a game. And then it gets to the last 5 minutes in that fourth quarter and they do nothing. No production, nothing. It's because they don't know how to take it up that next level. And the team they're playing against, they do. And that's what we're seeing with Shai is Shai's teaching all these young guys, hey, go, come on, next level, next level. And that's why when Mark's talking about J-Dub having a breakout season, the second half of the season, it's going to be truth because he's learning everything from Shai right now. He's learning how to take it up that next step. He's playing against Shai. He's playing against Dort in practice. He's playing against all these guys in practice constantly. You think that getting hit in his face during games is the worst abuse he's getting in practice? No, man. In practice, it's a whole new level. They don't call the wimpy fouls that they're calling in the NBA right now. You know, you're out there, you're pushing, you're shoving, you're hitting people, you're constantly fighting and battling. They're teaching these young guys how to take that up a next level. And it's why we're seeing the impact that Shai has or the impact that Kenny Hustle has. And it's powerful, man. It's powerful when I see Dort out there and Shai talking intensely about a play that one of them missed or a defensive stop they both got and they're pretty excited about. They're challenging each other. And that's what's making this team better. It's not just Coach D yelling out, come on, motherfuckers, get going. It's Shai, it's Dort, it's everybody else that's behind them saying, get better. You have to step up your game in order for us to do things. And you're watching Shai on the bench, right? When he's not playing. And it's not like he's sitting back and putting his arms back and not even observing in the game. He's on the edge of his seat. He's cheering. He's jumping up. Guys come out of the game. He's up there cheering and giving him a high five. He's a team player, just like everybody else is on this team. And I was telling you guys about the crew with my daughter, is the best teams have the best players, quote unquote, don't always play as a team. And when you see these teams that almost possess everything they need to in order to be a good team, right? Except for the team spirit. You know they're never making it past the first round of the playoffs. You know that they're never making it past even the second round of the playoffs. It's the teams that have learned to make it an elite level of team being a team. Mm-hmm. That is what Sam Presti, that is what Coach D, that is what Shai has all on the same page of designing for this team. Like, this team is designed to go deep into the playoffs. And if you're sitting here saying, Mark, we can win 50 games, which, listen, we could, then this team is designed at this moment to make it to the second round of the playoffs or even make it to the Western Conference Finals, because that's how good this team is going to be in the playoffs. It's a 7-game series, and it's constant coming out. It's this 12-man rotation that we have that frustrates so many coaches. It's a beautiful mix, and it's a perfect opportunity for these guys. And that's why we're looking at this team and saying anything's fucking possible. You know, like, do I think that Mark's way above at this 50, win thing that he's saying? Listen, I've said it before, is I believe in this team. I believe in Sam Presti. I believe in Coach D. And if Sam Presti and Coach D and Shai and everybody is on board saying our goal is to win 50 games this year, then do I think we're going to win close to 50 games? Fuck yeah, because we're not setting goals like that unless they're obtainable.
We're playing at a really high level of basketball right now. It's incredibly high. It's the highest level we've seen for a while, and I understand that it's easy to say what if and all this, but there were 2 games that we played well enough to win that we just didn't close out. Those were against the 2 best teams in the East. Okay. At this point, to me, it's not unreasonable to say that this team is prepared and poised to go on a 10-game winning streak. And if they go out and they start racking up wins, and they really get to the point where, 500 ball isn't really what anybody else is thinking about anymore, right? We have to evaluate something that we've talked about a lot with Sam Presti, which is that, and he says it all the time in his press conferences, which is like he allows the teams to, make a statement about who they are. And then from there, if the team isn't playing meaningful games, then they're going to lean into, the youngest players getting the most opportunity as the season goes along, right? They're going to definitely go for, player development. If we're 10 games above 500, like in the next, say, like by January, okay, Sam Presti is not going to undermine the team's success. Now, he may not go out and get some incredible player that will guarantee, us have a deep, deep run in the playoffs. But he's not going to go out and trade away guys to ensure we lose. We know that about Sam Presti. I mean, you agree with that?
Yeah, but I go back to what I said earlier, is that it's not the trade that we're looking for. Like teaching them systems and teaching them the defense isn't something that players can come in and just learn off the bat. I think it takes time to adjust. So I don't know if there's a player that Sam Presti is going to want to go out and get. I think it's more likely the only way that happens if a team is like, we can't have this player on our team anymore. We need to trade him. He needs a restart. He wants to go to you guys. Please take him. Here's a first-round draft pick for that, right? I think that case of scenario, I could see us, adding a player only to cut.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I don't.
I'm with you.
I mean,
I'm with you.
We know
those situations are Sam Presti specialties, right? Like,
yeah,
you add this, and next thing you know, you got a player that maybe you cut, maybe you don't, and then they kind of work their way, through.
If we have an injury, another injury for the rest of the year, yeah, I could see Sam Presti having something where it's like, I have a spot opening.
Here's the thing, like, other than those situations, right? We're not afraid, and we're not thinking, now, with also the qualifier, and we always feel like we have to qualify everything we say when we start talking like this, but we already said it. Like, as long as people stay healthy, as long as Shai plays enough games, like, this isn't like, automatically, right?
No.
But when you have Shai, and then you have the rest of the group, and you're like 12 deep on the rest of the guys, you're kind of like, it's unlikely that we're going to lose a huge chunk of the rest of the guys so that we're no longer good. You know what I mean? That's
right.
Just, there's so many of them. There's a lot of teams that can't sustain losing 3 rotational players.
Yeah.
But we can.
It would just shorten up our rotation, essentially,
Exactly.
what it would do.
Exactly. And it would be...
And that's why I think it's so important that we watch Shai's 7 minutes. I think as in that fourth quarter, 6.5 minutes, whatever. I think we watch that very carefully, because as time goes on, I bet you that shrinks and shrinks as we get closer to the playoffs. Because Like the reality is that if we're in the playoffs, Shai, everybody knows that Shai's got to put up 40 minutes a game in the playoffs. He just got to. It's playoff basketball. It's not everything else. So I love what Coach D is doing and is stair stepping Shai to that moment. When he plays 40 something minutes, he comes back in the next game, and plays 20 something minutes. Like this is how you take care of a star. This is how you take care of a player. You recognize that minute restrictions in the early going allows a player, even a healthy minute restriction, allows a player to stay healthy throughout the season. So we look at this and we say Shai is doing everything he needs to continue doing what he's doing. Like he's averaging 32 points a game and averaging 35, 37 minutes a game. So nearly a point a minute. Like these are astonishing numbers. And it just, as we're, transitioning to, the no offense, I just want to kind of take a minute and just thank every single one of you. Because Mark and I had, like we've talked about, a lot of time to be thinking about you guys in the river, in the streams, in the canoe while we were fishing. And it's just quiet. And it's, Mark and I joking about the things that we talked about on air and some of the things that people have said to us. And we're just having a good time. And we realized that we had this deep, admiration for our listeners. We have a deep passion for coming up and staying original and being original. And we started talking about how we can make this better for you guys and better experience for you guys and better lighting and better this, better that, because you guys mean a lot to us. And we want to make sure that when you guys come here, that you guys have the best experience. And sometimes I think about, in the early 2000s when I was, right out of high school, there was this drug called ecstasy. I'm sure most everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? A little pill, different colors, little stamps on it. And it wasn't that ecstasy was like this unbelievable, well, it was an unbelievable drug, but it was a cocktail of drugs. It had MDMA in it, had this, had that, and whatever. Anyways, it made you feel feelings that you seriously don't get in life. It made you feel these emotions that you don't get in life. And I started thinking about it, and I started thinking about how I feel about our listeners. And it's like this ecstasy moment where you're getting on, you're peaking, right? You're peaking from that ecstasy, and you're getting on, and you're going to talk to you guys. And you guys are our friends. And we're getting on this moment to get on here to talk to you, and you get these great, amazing feelings. And it starts coming down to, and I start feeling like what it is. And to be honest, the ecstasy of life is love. And when you experience true love, and you experience love that changes the way you think in life, like it changes who you are. And as we've been on here now coming up for 2 years straight of giving you guys a podcast, I've learned to, love the people that reach out. I learned to love the people that are in our lives. And to me, it's a family that we've created. And I go back to it. The ecstasy of life is love, because that's what we get to express and feel with you guys.
For sure, man. That's some deep ass shit, bro. And I think we say it all the time whenever we say you guys get us high, and we mean it. Like, feeling like there are other people who give a shit about the same things that we do, and I mean, they can't wait to hear people talk about it, be a part of it. Like, that's how we've been for years, and for a long time, we kind of felt isolated in our fandom because, I mean, let's just face it, the jackoffs who were talking a lot were more obsessed with Marvel and, the hair on their balls than they were about the basketball that was being played out there on the court. And that's cute. I mean, they can have hairy balls, and that's good for them that they like superheroes, but that's not where we're at. But we do
like superheroes.
Well, I mean, come on.
But we don't like superheroes playing with our balls.
Right. And we do like superheroes, but usually they don't wear capes, right? In the end, let's talk about Aaron Judge. I mean, if you're going to write a superhero, bro.
Bro.
Man,
6'8",
62 home runs, AL MVP. You got to give him props, dude. What a year for Aaron Judge. A lot of questions right now. I saw that the guy who caught the home run ball turned down $3 million, and the ball will now go to auction. crazy, man. This is the world we live in. So, what do you got, bro? You got something about Judge at all?
Yeah, dude, I think it's brilliant that this guy turned down $3 million because that's the baseline, because you know that guy's going to spend at least $3 million at auction to get that ball.
Maybe. So let's talk about how this could go bad, okay? All right, so what if Aaron Judge signs with the Giants or someone else? Somewhere that home run ball no longer has the same level of interest as the New York crowd.
Oh,
could that ball be sold for less than $3 million?
No, it doesn't matter where he lands.
It might.
Listen, there's always a super fan of a player. There's always a super fan of a player, especially when they're coming to your new stadium or new whatever.
Look, maximum value for that baseball is that he resigns with the Yankees.
Sure.
In that case,
he probably could get $5 million,
right.
$4.5 million.
So this is the ultimate deal or no deal, right? Because there's this wild card of Aaron Judge's future, and if it did go
next
wrong,
question is, if I'm Aaron Judge, am I buying that ball?
Well, depends on how much and when he gets paid.
Well,
if he's getting $250 million before, then yeah,
if the price is $3 million, right, and Aaron Judge signs a $360-something million deal, right? If I'm Aaron Judge, money doesn't mean anything. That ball means everything, because that wraps up my time in New York, and that's when I cough up what doesn't matter, the cost. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, like, he's going to go from making $19 million to making $35 million, if not more, a year.
Yeah. Well,
so for me, like, that's just part of it.
Sure, hope that
if I'm the San Francisco Giants,
yeah,
yeah, and if I'm the San Francisco Giants, I'm buying Aaron Judge's home run ball at any cost possible.
Yeah, and
saying, hey, it's a signing bonus if you come here.
There you go, man. That's some fun shit right there to speculate about. So let's talk about some World Cup shit. We got a few random things here, but this is a bummer, right? A lot about the Qatar stuff, people could talk about that, and we probably should, but the real bummer is that they're banning alcohol at the World Cup stadium and the different
That's
stadiums.
The real bummer.
Yeah. Could you imagine if you bought tickets, bro, and you went to a world-class event like that and they didn't tell you in advance that you couldn't drink? Oh, man. That'd be crazy, bro. I would not go. I'm not even alcoholic.
I'm pretty sure
sports and alcohol go together I don't know, peas and carrots.
Peas and carrots. Yeah, man.
You don't care. You're acting like you think this was a dumb one, so I'll keep going, bro.
No. I love talking about it. It's great. But on the same sense is that, know your audience, guys. Don't buy tickets to something that, obviously there's a good chance that there's going to be no drinking. And let's just be honest. It's probably the best thing that there's going to be no drinking, because people get really insane during the World Cup finals. And
it's
the less alcohol consumed in the stadium means the less chances that people have to get hurt. So maybe this is a good thing.
Maybe. So this one affects us, but not really. Neither one of us are in the Buffalo region, but we were just up at Lake Erie.
We were.
Now the NFL is moving the Browns-Bills game to Detroit because of a snowstorm, and I was seeing some massive footage was projected to come down in Buffalo, bro. So
it's insane.
How does that make you feel about this time of year on Erie? You think it's a little too snowy?
Yeah, man. I'm glad we went when we did. If we had waited another week, it seems like it would have been a pretty rough time to have. So
make sure we keep that one in mind.
Yeah, that's a good one, because Mark and I are always moving our chip time around because we want to find when the fish are the best. And this might be one of those.
Throw that off.
It might be one of those things we have to look at.
I was really excited when I saw that the game was going to have that much snow. Now that it's not, there's no way I'm going to watch a Detroit game. They have a dome, right?
It's going to be dead. It's going to be dead there. Let's just be honest. You got Cleveland fans and Bills fans having to drive that far.
I would love it though if they were playing in that much snow, and you can't even see who has the ball. That stuff is fun, dude.
I know. Whatever. I mean, like, remember those video games when the snow would come down? Like, we'd always play in snow conditions because it was way better in snow conditions.
Fumbles happening, right? Everything, like, it increases variables, man. For sure,
it was the best, man. Man, the whole Spurs shit going down. Primo and that psychologist are finally figuring it out. I mean,
I don't know if they're figuring it out, but it seems like at least it got settled.
I mean, that seems like it's figuring it out.
Well, it's the first step.
Stop dicking around, guys.
I know, but I don't really like. The Spurs are gonna have to answer for this later. Okay, someday. Obviously this is the first step, but I'm really concerned about Primo. So that's why I'm not like. I don't really feel like it's like worked out. I'm glad that he's probably not going to be sued or whatever. Like he can maybe try to go get a job at this point. But do you think he'll get a job?
I think he's got to go overseas to find something and prove he can stay out of trouble. But let's just be honest, there's always going to be a team that's going to look for a 19-year-old player that's shown promise.
He's good, bro. They gave Deshaun Watson another chance.
Yeah, I just think he has to find a Cleveland team that will take him. So let's go ahead and switch gears here because I found this article, man, that was talking about the prison that Brittany Griner is going to. Right?
Yeah, man, this bums me up,
man. It's the IK-2. That's the name of it. If you guys want to take a look at it, seriously, do some research on it. This is not a good place for her to be going. Let's put some pressure on whoever we need to get her out of the situation because she's going to one of the most, I would call it one of the worst women's prisons in the world. It's correctional colony. The prison rules are strict. Punishments are harsh. They don't fuck around here, and I'm really concerned for Brittany. Mark mentioned one time that, he asked the question of if we don't get her out quickly, is there going to be a time that we're talking about the one time Brittany Griner, we should have gotten out somehow, and there was no movement on that. And this might be one of those situations if we don't get her out quickly coming up in wintertime that she needs out. We need to make sure that she gets the type of attention that she deserves because, she's an American citizen in a situation that's not a good situation and going to a horrible, horrible place.
It really infuriates me for so many reasons. And, I need to be careful because there's not a lot of good just getting angry does. But I know somebody who was drafted number 2 overall in the WNBA. And she had to go play in Russia to get paid. And Brittany Griner was going and playing in Russia to get paid. Because Russia pays their women athletes better than the United States does.
It's insane.
It's not even
the same
close.
Thing. Yep.
And it just infuriates me that she would have to go play there. It infuriates me that the system created it, that she had to go play there to get paid. And if you look at her historically, she's on par with Larry Bird or Magic Johnson. What if Larry Bird or Magic Johnson were in Russian prisons? We would have gone and sent the motherfucking cavalry to go get them, dude.
Fuck yeah, we would have.
And Brittany Griner gets locked up, and it's the same sexism that let her not get paid enough in the States, even though she's one of the top players in the world, to have to go play in Russia is now leaving her there. And I don't think any of us should let this rest until it's solved. And it won't be solved even when she gets back. Because this is going to destroy her life. Her psychology is going to be... It's going to be wickedly difficult for her to live life when she gets out again. I have a lot of faith that it's not over and she can recover. But my question is, when will we just say, she doesn't belong there, and we're gonna get her out at any cost? That's what I want to know. And they'll be at the cost of starting World War III. Well, motherfuckers, Putin has already gone as close to starting World War III as anybody. We need Brittany Griner back. Somebody has to take that seriously.
You're right.
It's just...
It's dumb. It's getting out of hand, and we need to see change. But
it's pure sexism. Because if it wasn't for her gender, she wouldn't have had to be there. And if it wasn't for her
100%,
gender,
man.
we would have done whatever it took to get her back. So
You're right.
I'm pissed off, man. And like, I didn't mean to get pissed off. I told you I had to be careful. So I'm gonna let you
Well, let's go ahead and change the flip here. Because,
don't do that one. Don't do that one. Let's do a different one. Let's come back to that one.
Got a burp out. Not good.
Let's do this one. Look, we gotta like change the tune. So let's come back around. Let's come back to something else. I just feel like that was too serious of a note to do anything that's fun. So let's take a second, real quick, and like talk about what we see the future is. Right? Look, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, okay? But as we're doing these things, right? Like you said, we have a community, and we really believe that this community has become like our family, right? And we just want to make sure that as we move forward, like everything we do is at the center of it. And then when we talk about you guys, when we're out on the boat in the canoe, when we're fishing and stuff like that, we're like obviously we made a big enough impact, right, together, because people are still talking about the movement we started, right? It's unlike anything that was seen within the Oklahoma City Thunder community before. The next phase, we want it to be even more impactful, right? We're not going to shy away from things that piss us off, but we're going to try to avoid getting really angry at any individuals within the Oklahoma City Thunder media, because at this point they've lightened up, they've moved forward. So we're not going to back off of issues. It might get messy and stuff, but that's why we're coming at it with a new angle. Now, I want to say something. I'm going to let you go, but the Eagles just added a new player, bro. Ndamukong Suh.
Yep.
Is he still good? I have not seen him play in a little bit, but man, he used to be great.
I think he'll be all right. I think obviously if you're hiring him for a 3-down defensive player, I think you're good. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what we got to look at. I think we got to look at, at this point, Eagles are just trying to add as much to the front line as possible and that defensive line as possible. They'll be all right. I mean, they had a single loss, and I think they're in a little bit of a panic motion. But I think as long as they continue to do what they're doing, and Jalen Hurts is going to do what he's doing. So great job by this pickup.
How about them losing, man? To the Commanders.
Comical.
All right, so
sorry,
I just tried to click on that link you set up, bro, and it looks like they have taken down the tweet, bro.
Fuck that shit. Oh, well, Tom Brady was the hottest anyways. We're good.
Oh, my God, dude. You're not going to give anybody context? You want to leave that one there?
All right, well, I'm trying to think. I don't even know. I think I have a couple photos here.
You do have a couple of photos, bro.
All right, here we go.
All right.
So the context is if the NFL players were slightly changed.
Oh, yeah.
And turned into women, right?
Females. They were turned into
females,
as close to beautiful women as some of them could ever be.
What would they look like? So, anyways, here we go. We have starting from here. We have Zara Wilson.
All right, bro.
Right there.
I'm gonna put this on the screen, bro, so everybody can see it, dude. I'm gonna put it up high, bigger than our faces, so you won't even see our faces, dude. Just tell them what we're looking at.
Then we have top left Stafford, obviously Mahomes there, and then we have Kylie Murray, which is Kyler Murray's lookalike, I guess. There. All right, yeah, next film here, we'll go ahead and go with Wilson. Everybody know a good Wilson, and they got Justin Fields. They're top. My left, and then we have Deshaun Watson, Kristen Cousins, or Kirk Cousins. I'm scared a little bit. She kind of scares me, man. Like, I'm scared for my nuts around here. All right, and then the last one, right? So we have two contrasts here, guys. So we've got what I would consider the hottest female on this list, the two hottest female on this list, and then the worst looking one, and that would be Aaron. Well, we'll get to that in a second, but here we go. We got Tom Brady, Tanya Brady, hottie. Burrow. Again, another hottie. There we go.
Jill Burrow.
She looks like she's a little stoned, but we'll take it. We'll take it. Jenny Galaplo. Yeah, you guys see that right there. And then we have a highly touted Miss Aaron Rodgers. She looks scary, first of all. She looks like she ate all the meth in the house, and then she's looking for your meth, which you've hidden, and she can smell it. And I don't like that look.
I don't like that look either.
So,
there you go, everybody.
Who you guys
Tell
got,
us who
man?
you think is hot, man.
Yeah, like
hot,
I'm all down for that ability to let me know what's up, because
tell us now,
what's up, man,
or forever hold your peace, dude.
And listen, use the woman name if you want, but our friend Adam has requested that we use the men's name. He said that he only likes it when we use men's names on the show. So keep that in mind as we're going.
Thanks for joining us, guys. I gotta hit the restroom so bad. So I apologize for the sudden bounce, but peace.